So, well, I wanted to do something with create outlines for text in Illustrator, but I was also thinking about that love sculpture. I think it was in Philadelphia, but they might have moved it back to New York. You know, that thing. It looks like that. How do you make that in Adobe Illustrator? It's essentially a type lockup. All the letters in, there's no space between them. They're all touching each other. I know, because it's a sculpture. But you know, how do you make that in Illustrator with a type lockup and create outlines? Create outlines for text essentially turns every letter into its own little vector shape, which means you can manipulate these things individually. Right now, none of my text is turned into an outline. I have to do that. This is regular text. If I wanted to edit it or change it, I could. But once I was done with that, I could go to type menu and choose create outlines and then manipulate each of these individually, which would mean also turning the O on an angle and resizing these. And some of these things like the E, the L, oh my, they gotta be tweaked. They need some help. So to do that, the first thing that I'm going to do is go to my type menu and scroll down to create outlines. This only works if you've selected this with your selection tool. If the bounding box around the text is selected, create outlines will totally work. If you have the text selected with type tool, no dice. It's not going to do anything. So create outlines turns this into something that in theory you could manipulate and play with. If you want to manipulate the letters individually, I would strongly suggest first going to Object menu and ungrouping them. Once you ungroup them, each one is its own vector shape for you to do whatever you want with. You could change the colors on them, you could resize them, you can grab them and put one thing on top of the other. We're getting there, but not quite. You can select them all and resize. I love the way in the sculpture they're kind of like square, but they're also touching each other. And I've noticed the L is straight over here. Yeah, you know, I try to find the font, but nobody really knows what the font is for the love sculpture, not lub. Good grief. The love sculpture, nobody really knows what that font is. It's sort of mysterious, but the L looks like that part is kind of longer. It looks kind of triangular. Hey, I don't know what it's made out of, some kind of metal. So to manipulate these, if I go back and forth between the direct selection tool and my selection tool and make these things touch each other, no, we don't want to do that yet with the L, with the O. Okay, whoops, hey. Thought I selected on both. I like to use my arrow keys sometimes when I'm messing with these just because it's easier to move things around. The O is kind of like rotated on an angle. I just hovered over the corner of the bounding box for it. I know it's crashing into the, go ahead, call me out on it. You totally can. I'm going to move that up just a little bit. I could also resize this. If I was feeling a little meh about how these are aligned, not quite like the sculpture, I could always go up into my rulers. If you haven't ever turned on rulers, if you go to view menu and scroll down to rulers, if it says show rulers over here, that'll turn your rulers on. Mine says hide rulers because I already have mine turned on. You can click in your ruler and drag down a guide and line that up with, well, whatever you want to line it up with. You can also do that with the ruler over on the side. I feel like I want to make everything kind of line up. Whatever. We'll center it later. It'll be fine. So now I have all these guides. I don't know. Maybe I'll move them. Maybe I'll mess with them later. Who the heck knows? I'm going to do the little trick with the arrow key over here to line this thing up. Maybe I make my E a little wider. Maybe I make the V a little wider. I got to make them touch. Okay, we're getting there. Starting to look more like the love sculpture. And again, like these things over here, direct selection tool, the little white arrow, I can always grab the little anchor points here And if I'm having a hard time adjusting them with my, well, mouse, that's all we got here, I can always select the anchor points or select more than one anchor point and use my arrow keys to manipulate them. And there you go. That's how you do it. Type menu, create outlines. Mine's not going to show up. It's grayed out right now because we're done messing with this. But yeah, we just essentially made a type lockup in seconds. Have fun.